Hey guys, Jasmine here with another recap of the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Week 5, and this is the second day of cross-examination of Jane. As we've said, Jane is a former girlfriend of Combs and she's going under that pseudonym. Tina Garagos led the cross-examination again today and did a little bit of the same thing she did yesterday, getting Jane to read text messages. The idea here is to really poke holes in her story and her allegation that she endured 3 years of sexual abuse at the hands of Combs. So today she had her read some more text messages. A lot of these text messages were ones where you could see that Sean was asking her, what kinds of escorts do you want to have? Allowing her to have control, have a say over the type of escorts that they were hiring. Also asking her, do you want to do this at all? And in one instance she said no, and he said, quote, all good. So some of those kinds of things were the text messages she read today. She also started to read text messages about some of the type of hotel nights, more of the hotel nights they were having. One of them, she said, lasted in 2022. This was New Year's of 2022. She said that it lasted an estimated 3 days and involved 3 men. During that time, she says that she voiced her frustration with Combs, telling him that she felt he'd taken advantage of her and having her participate in a hotel night with 3 different men, and that really made her feel like she was being taken advantage of. As she testified before, you know, this relationship she felt was in the dark while he was in the light or out publicly with other women. One of those women, specifically Young Miami, seemed to be a bone of contention in their relationship. A lot of arguments as she was reading text messages were based on him hanging out with Young Miami. Yesterday we told you about a Chanel bag. He took Young Miami to the Chanel store. That was documented on Instagram. Bought her a lot of lavish gifts, including a Maybach. And Jane was very upset about this. She talks about how she was feeling, you know, that she didn't sign up to be in a relationship with a man that was going to then be publicly with another woman, but that she was very jealous of his relationship with Young Miami. One instance in particular was when he took Young Miami to Turks and Caicos. She said that was her dream vacation. And so for her to see it online that he had taken her to Turks and Caicos really infuriated her, especially because just before that, he had taken her on a trip to Miami for her birthday. This was in February of 2023. She talks about how they hadn't spoken in a while, and they got back together. She thought this was going to be a great trip. It was her birthday, and he ended up inviting some entertainers, and they ended up having a hotel night for her birthday. 3 different men actually she slept with during that particular hotel night. So she talks about just the resentment that she feels. However, Tina Garagos tries to really get her to describe it more as regret, because she was saying, but you said yes to these things. And she'd say, unfortunately, I said yes. But she was really trying to get her to show that you consented, you had a choice, you said yes to doing these, and now you're feeling regret. She said, however, she feels that resentment and regret are feelings that are one and the same, are in the same category. She also talks about several text messages that she had her read several text messages that she sent to Combs where she was expressing her love for him. She said at one point, my love for you is unconditional and for life. She also had to read a text message she wrote to him in 2023. This was after he got her home. And in the text message, she talks about how much she loves him. During this point, Teenie is reading the text message and Jane starts to cry. She is very emotional during this part. She goes, I love you so much as my friend, my lover, my boyfriend, even though you don't like that word. She also says, the feeling you are the reason for my child's joy. As I talked before, Combs moved her out of her apartment rental. So she said she went from about 1,500 square feet to about 5,300 square feet in this rental home that she's now still living at and that he is now still paying for. So she got teary-eyed and emotional during Teenie reading those messages. She also talks about how she once withheld a hotel night from him because she saw he had gone on a trip with another woman, and in retaliation she said, well, we won't be doing any hotel nights because I've seen that you were with another woman. And she said that they didn't speak for a few weeks, and then after that Sean took her on another trip. So a lot of that was the magnitude of today's testimony. A lot of her talking about how she would be frustrated, but then in return, she might get a gift, or she might get some type of trip with Sean, the things that she wanted. You know, she really wanted this relationship to be real. She really wanted to feel like she was in a committed relationship, but felt like, you know, he was focused on other things, specifically other women. At this point, Garagos also had her talk about the fact that you know, he has had past lovers. Had he ever talked about them? Cassie Ventura specifically. She says that at one point he told her that Cassie was one of the greatest loves of his life, and that she also saw him writing her a love letter while he was high. So it's really clear from today's testimony that Jane is very triggered by, and was very triggered by, these other women, and seemed to be very frustrated even during the conversations today around those other women. Young Miami specifically. Also Gina came up, which was the ex-girlfriend that she also claims seemed to still be in the picture. She didn't understand why. She says that Gina was very problematic, that she gave Sean a lot of problems, that he was always frustrated after spending time with her, and so she felt like the hotel nights brought him peace. And when Garagos asked her that, when Teenie said, did you feel like you would do the hotel nights to bring him peace? She said yes. She also reiterated that she was not doing this because she wanted to, but again, she did it because her lover, she would call him, or her partner, this is what he wanted to do, so she was just trying to make him happy. And she'd also say that, you know, he would go be with the boring girls and come and do these things with her. And so she started to feel, you know, obviously felt very duped. But again, as Teenie Garagos pointed out, chose to still stay in the relationship up until 2024. When he was arrested in New York City. The defense also said that they should be wrapping up cross-examination by tomorrow morning. And at that point, the prosecution will also be introducing another witness. As I've said, the prosecution has said that they should be done by the 20th of June, calling all their witnesses. And that way the defense can start calling their side of witnesses. A woman named Christina Korm, as I brought up yesterday, also her name has been thrown out many, many times. Many people believe, you know, a lot has been circulating online that she is a co-conspirator. What we do know is that she has not been called to testify on behalf of the prosecution. So that we do have an update regarding her. So we will keep the updates coming, and you guys just make sure you keep it locked in to Hip Hollywood. I'm Jasmine Simpkins.